I've seen it happen once in my career, particularly with my client. So, what happened was they were already on the edge of a Chapter 7, but they had stated they had enough expenses to justify a Chapter 7. And they also had given me pay stubs for the actual work that they did. The problem was that they were kind of on the edge of a Chapter 7, but we squeezed them into it because they had legitimate monthly expenses. They claimed they had medical bills that were legitimate, and then obviously they had car payments, rent, childcare, things like that. Well, they got audited by the U.S. Trustee's Office, and the U.S. Trustee's Office wanted to see actual receipts and documentation of these extraordinary medical expenses and of these childcare expenses that they had. Problem is, their medical expenses weren't really regular old co-pays or prescription medication. It was them going to the cannabis club, and they had medical marijuana cards, but it wasn't a legitimate medical expense for the trustee and the U.S. Trustee's Office. Number two, the child care that they were paying really wasn't to a child care provider. It was just cash that they were giving to a relative, and they would sometimes do that, sometimes not. So it was truly free child care, and it wasn't a legitimate monthly expense. Thirdly, they had regular W-2 jobs, but then they also hid the fact that they were making supplemental income that was like 1099 or under the table money. So all in all, they were given the option to convert to a Chapter 13, but they couldn't afford the monthly payment. So essentially in this particular case, it got dismissed and they were essentially left with the debt, and they could come back at a later time and file for Chapter 7, or they could actually do a Chapter 13, which they couldn't afford. So I don't see it often. We don't take on cases that are so over the top in terms of Chapter 7s and squeezing them into a Chapter 7, because many times people have more disposable income than they think.